Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I did not expect to be making a video about Resident Evil this quick, but over the past few weeks we've seen quite a lot of news come out. If it's true or not remains to be seen. Until we have some official news from Capcom, we'll just have to speculate. So let me cover what's happened in the last couple of weeks. So Resident Evil 3 has come out to generally good reviews. I think when it started out, people have speedrun it and stuff like that, complaining that it's not long enough, not enough content, certain things have been cut. But then when you go back and you look at the original was quite short. You have to remember it was a spin-off. Resident Evil 2 was originally supposed to be the end of the series. I think at that point in time, you didn't know that Wesker was still alive. You assumed he died in the mansion. Claire, and the only thing you don't really get is Claire meeting up with Chris. Everything else is kind of covered in those very, very small details. But yeah, you know, it was generally done. Raccoon City was destroyed. Umbrella was destroyed. You know, that was necessarily the end, and Nemesis was made to be just a spin-off, along with Devil May Cry. If you remember, Devil May Cry was also supposed to be a spin-off because Dante and Virgil were supposed to be the sons of Spencer that had been experimented on. But anyway, yeah. So Resident Evil 3 has come out to relatively good acclaim. Some people have complained, but you know, that's going to happen no matter what. On top of that, we have seen supposed leaks for Resident Evil 8. And we have heard rumours, I am sticking with rumours, about Resident Evil 4 being remade. So I'm going to go, first of all, what Capcom have pushed out, and then we'll move into some of the other news. So straight off the back of Resident Evil 3 Remake coming out, Capcom released a online survey asking if you would like to see more remakes or if you would like to see some more numbered content coming out, so seeing 8 come out, etc, etc. Personally, I want to see Resident Evil 8. I want the storyline pushing forward. Resident Evil, to me, has always had a long-standing, in-depth storyline that has carried on game through game. You've always found out more information. It's never been really stale. But I do think ever since 5, we've not had that big bad. We've not had that continuing kind of story arc of where the big evil is, what's going on. You think Umbrella's gone. We know, well, as far as we know, Wesker is gone. Spencer is gone. Never really answered what happened with the leech. Was it Marcus in Zero, the clone thing? Just kind of gets left. But other than that, we don't really know what's going on. So Resident Evil 5 introduced the Wesker children, if you went and found all the notes and stuff like that. You have since seen Alex Wesker, but there's no big bad there. It's just a Revelations character. There's, you know, they're not the continuing boss or whatever. So yeah, I want to see 8, but I want to see that story expanded. I want to know where we're going within the Resident Evil universe. I want that big evil corporation, that big evil figurehead. Who are they and who are we actually going against? Or is everyone now going to feel like Assassin's Creed, where every game is just its standalone game and the storyline is just it's a virus? That will disappoint me if that's the way we go. Not really fussed about getting a Revelations 3. I do want to see it come out at some point. I think Revelations is a brilliant series to use for characters that we no longer necessarily need in a main story. So when Revelations 1 came out, I thought it was very good for Jill and Chris, because at that point I believed that Chris's storyline was really over after 5, because Chris's storyline was Wesker based and Umbrella based, and after the end of 5 you didn't really need Chris there, because it was supposed to be this big rivalry between Chris and Wesker. It's the same with like Revelations 2 brings Barry Burton back. We've not seen Barry Burton since Resident Evil 1 really. So I would have loved for Revelations to stay as this little spin-off thing, saying these characters are no longer part of this main story arc. This is where they are. You know, so I'd love to see like Billy Cohen come back and Carlos and the other characters that we know of that have just kind of been pushed to the wayside, that we don't know what's going on with them. So yeah, I'd really like to see Resident Evil 8 come out next and then go back into a remake. So the next big news that's leaked was the Resident Evil 4 remake. So this has been leaked over the past couple of days, and it's not even a leak, it's a rumour, saying that Capcom are working on a Resident Evil 4 remake and it is due for release in 2022. So to coincide with the rumours of Resident Evil 8 possible possible sequel is that was supposed to come out 2021, so it would necessarily coincide date-wise. I have seen quite a big backlash from the general public, from like the Resident Evil forums and stuff like that, because ideally they want to see a Resident Evil Code Veronica X, and I agree with them. Code Veronica X was the sequel to 3. Code Veronica X was where you get Chris and Claire back together. It's where the Wesker storyline continues. It's where the Umbrella storyline continues. It's the natural step for the remakes to go from 2 to 3 into Veronica X before going into 4. On top of that, Code Veronica X was never... It didn't have... In its last release, it didn't have, these brilliant modernish graphics. It still had the old gameplay style. There's a lot there for it to be developed on. It was never released on PC. It was only consoles. So whereas 4 you can get on PC, it has been re-released on multiple ports. You can get it up. You can still get it on modern consoles. Its graphics hold out relatively well considering the age of it. I don't necessarily think that's what needs a remake next. But, and this is a big but, keep in mind that Capcom will not just have one team working on something. So when this rumour comes out that they have a team working on Resident Evil 4, does not mean that they don't have a team working on Code Veronica X, and they don't have a team working on Resident Evil 8. They will also have a team working on Devil May Cry 6. And, it's like when the spin-offs were kind of in work, Nemesis was one of the spin-offs that was being worked on. They had multiple titles that were being worked on, and it will be the same with this. So yeah, I do expect that Resident Evil 4 is being worked on, but I don't expect it to be released. I still reckon Code Veronica is going to be next, and I really hope that's where it's going to go. Finally, so the rumours for Resident Evil 8 have come out. So supposed leak again from playtesters and developers and stuff like that. So what we're hearing at the moment is that the two main characters are going to be Ethan and Chris. That Chris is going to be possibly a villain. Not quite sure how that's going to go. And it's going to be set in Europe. It's going to be called Resident Evil Village, with the part of Village being used for Roman numerals to make 8. Yeah, I get it. The big thing is that they've come out is the hallucinations. So in the original Resident Evil 4 was going to be Leon was infected, I believe, and he hallucinated while trying to get to the antidote, and which you saw the Hook Man and all this, and it was all hallucinations. So if Chris is going to be a villain, specifically a certain cutscene's been spoke about where Ethan is with Mia in their home and they have a child, and Chris apparently boots in the door and starts shooting. This is supposedly be a flashback. I would assume that then is an hallucination. And I don't see Chris becoming a villain unless maybe he's not necessarily a villain, but he thinks he's on the right side. He's still fighting for BSAA, and something's gone wrong with the Ethan side of things. Maybe something that's carried on from 7. Maybe something that's carried on with Mia. I don't know. But I don't see Chris coming out and going, oh yeah, I'm the head of the new Umbrella or whatever. It doesn't make sense. It's not a good character line for him. I'm going to stick with this solution. It's all in Ethan's mind or whatever. It's all just a trick. I really hope we don't see the same thing that they did with Ada in 6, where we had a clone of Chris. Really don't want to see that. But I am interested. And the rumours that have come out have said that this is going to annoy a lot of Resident Evil fans because it's a big step away from the series. But every game was a big step away. So Resident Evil 3 into 4 was a big step away. Having the original Resident Evil remaster remake with the knife defense system was a big step away. 5 co-op system was a big step away. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily brilliant, but Resident Evil has always moved forward. It's never stagnated. It's always tried to add something new to keep it evolving and not just stick with that same series. However much I am a fan of, survival horror, etc., etc., Silent Hill stagnated. Silent Hill didn't draw people in as much, and it's the easiest one to compare Resident Evil 2 because it didn't evolve. It was always, you are just here. It is always just foggy, and it is always just as is. I think The Room was probably the biggest adaptation that was a bit different, but it never really went anywhere. Whereas Capcom are trying to make sure that Resident Evil evolves as the timeline goes ahead, which I get. They need to do what they need to do. It is one of the best-selling series in the world. It's in like the top 50 profit earners. But yeah, it does need to evolve. But is it going to be that the fan base are getting really wound up because Chris is this villain? Is it because of the gameplay that's going to wind the fan base up? I don't know, but I'm excited to see it. And the people that have leaked have said that it was originally going to be a Revelations 3. I'm not quite sure how much I believe that, because I don't see how Ethan would go from straight to 7 into Revelations 3. And I also wouldn't have expected Chris to have appeared in 7 to go into Revelations. I don't believe that's right at all. That doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, for it to be a numbered one makes a lot more sense with those two characters. But yeah, and I'm excited for it. They've said that, it's a very high quality game. It's, even if it's going to wind you up, the actual gameplay itself has, from the playtesters have said, it's amazing. Play it before you put your opinion in. Actually go through it. Don't sit there and go, oh, it's not Resident Evil, I don't want to play it. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all I've got today. I've kind of jabbered on a bit since this is 12 minutes at the moment. But yeah, I'm happy with what's come out anyway. I'll be starting my playthrough soon. I am getting quite a lot of people actually asking me to start on playing Zero and do it in storyline order, not in release order. If that is something you want to see, please let me know in the comments. But I have got a question for you guys. As I've said, I want to see some of the older characters come back. I want to see Billy Cohen come back and stuff like that hasn't really been mentioned. What characters that you've seen, side characters, do you want to see come back? That, maybe even have their own standalone game. But let me know in the comments, guys, and we'll cover that in the next one. But thanks for watching, guys. See you again. Bye.